Hi, and welcome back for our next Tentaroo demo video. This video is going to be on how to add individual registrations to your unit's summer camp registration for Bashore. Adding the individual registrations is how you're going to create your rosters of scouts and adults attending camp, and is also how you're going to register your scouts for their merit badge classes. So this will definitely be one to pay attention to. So the first thing you're going to do is go to www.tentaroo.com/PADutch, and using the username and password that was sent to you in your welcome package, or if you've updated it, whatever you updated it to, log into your unit's Tentaroo account. So I'm going to log in using a dummy unit to show you this process. Okay, so now that I'm logged in, I'm back on the home page. I can see all the various buttons across the top. If I want to make my individual registration for camp, the first thing I'm going to do before I can make any individual registrations is I need to make sure that everybody's added to my roster. So I can either click on the roster button here in the center. Oh, I need to select the right event from the side to make sure I pick Bashore Summer Camp, and it'll show me my event. And then I initially signed up for 7 kids and 3 adults and how much money I owe. So the next thing I need to do is I need to update my roster and make sure all the kids that I want to take to camp or are planning on coming to camp are included in my roster. So I'm going to select Roster. I would recommend double check that over here on the right that it is the right week of camp that's showing up for you, so that you're signing up, because that'll help collect the correct information. So I'm going to show you I've already added a few kids and a few adults into the roster for this dummy unit. So I'm going to select under my youth roster Joseph Johns. I can enter his information. I can update what I need, and we'll say he's now a first class scout. He's in 8th grade. I can update that information, and I can save it. Okay. If I need to add a new scout, I just click New. To add adults to my roster, I go down below under my adult roster, and I can select one. I'll select myself. I can put in my name, other information, and when I'm done, I can hit Save. And everything else, I'll throw in there. My middle initial is F. So I will save that and make sure that is saved. If I need to add a new adult, I just click New, and I can fill in their information. So once I have added all of the youth and adults who are planning on attending camp to my roster, the next thing I'm going to do is actually register each one of them for camp. So to do that, I'm going to go here to Event Registration and click on that. Again, make sure over here on the right that you've got the right week showing up. So what I want to do is I want to add a scout to my registration. So I'm going to click down here and say New Youth Registration. When I do that, it's going to pull up my youth roster and all the scouts that I've entered. And on the right, it's going to show me that I'm looking at the youth participant type, that I have 7 spots, and I have the money available to add. Now, this is important. You will only be able to add the number of scouts to your individual registration that you have paid your $25 scout deposit for. So if I've only paid for 5 scouts, I cannot do individual registrations for 6 scouts. I would have to go in and add an extra $25 deposit, so I've paid for a full 6 scouts before I can register 6 scouts. So now that I'm here, I'm going to pick Joseph Johns, and I'm going to register for him for camp. So I'll click Joseph Johns, and down here at the bottom I will say Create Registration. So that will bring me to this page where, again, Joseph Johns comes up. It's got his information. I can double check all of his information, make sure everything is correct Please add in as much information as possible. That is all useful for the camp to make sure they've got everything correct. So once I've got all of his date of birth, all of his other information in, the next thing I'm going to do is go down to the bottom and say continue to pick classes. And this is how I'm going to go to register him for merit badge classes. So when I click that, it'll bring me to this screen. The staff of Bashore have already populated all of the different merit badge class sessions and program class sessions into Tentaroo. And you can see those by scrolling down on the right. You can see the badge, you can see the time, you can see what period it's offered, and sometimes there's some other information. For example, for archery, it's saying that's an average difficulty badge. For basketry, it's saying it's a good beginner badge. Under COPE, you'll see this symbol if I hover over it. The minimum age for class is 14. Okay? And other things going down. Some classes, like Blue Mountain Men, are multiple periods. Period 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you want to take that into account. So when I want to register this scout for classes, what I'm going to do is simply drag and drop. Say he wants to take archery first period, so I drag that over. When I do that, all of the other first period classes on the right will disappear. So I can't accidentally double book him for second period. So let's say second and third period he wants to take canoeing. Now all the 1, 2, and 3 classes are done. So I've only got periods 4, 5, and 6 left. Say he wants to take kayaking. Period 4. Period 5, he wants to do emergency preparedness. And finally, period 6, he wants to do camping. The other group of classes that will show up here that don't have a class period are independent studies. They don't have a class period. They can be scheduled at other times. Say the scout also wants to work on bugling at some point while he's at camp. So that will add him to a bugling roster. Okay. Once I've added all of the classes that I want for this scout, I simply hit save. When you do that, that will bring you to this screen, and you have two options at this point. If you want to continue adding youth or adults to your registration, you can select Continue Event Registration, add another youth, and add another adult. So I'm going to move on and actually register an adult. The second option is that you can go ahead and check out, and we'll talk about why checking out is important here in a minute. So let me add an adult registration. So I'm going to take, I have my list of adults, I've got my participant type, I've got 3 adults that I registered, and I have space available. So I'm going to register myself for camp. And again, it's important to do this so we have a roster of what adults are planning to come. So what I'll see is, I have my information here. I can put in my position, my address, all that stuff. Again, more information the better. If somebody has any serious allergies or dietary restrictions, you can put that information in. You can even put in here notes. Say if somebody is only coming for half the week and then switching with another adult, you can add that into the notes. Once I've added all the information in, because we don't have any adult classes currently in the system, that's not available. I just hit save. And again, that will bring up this screen. If I have more youth or more adults to add, I can continue through that. When I'm done, I'm going to need to go to the checkout through the cart. So to do that, because there's no additional payment due at the moment, I'm going to say pay minimum amount required and go to checkout. So that takes me to my cart. And what I will see is I will see a whole list of items that I've added to the cart. Here's my youth registration for Joseph Johns. Down here at the bottom is my adult registration for myself. And then I'm also going to see each of the different classes that I registered him for. Okay. Now, in order for a registration to be final, you must hit Submit My Order. Okay. If you don't do that, their registrations won't be final and the spaces will not be secured in the class. That's especially important for some of those classes that have participation limits. So make sure once you're done, you hit submit my order. So my order has been placed successfully. Okay. Now, you'll see when it takes you back here, I've added 1 youth and 1 adult of my 7 youth and 3 adults. What happens if suddenly a scout changes his mind and wants to change his merit badge? That's okay. He can do that. They can change registration and merit badges all the way up to 1 day before your summer camp session starts. So this fake session starts on August 14th, so he could make that. You can make that change up till August 13th, and still have it reflected for camp. So to do that, to make a change, I can go to event registration. I can select the scout. I can go to his classes and say he no longer wants to take archery merit badge first period. I simply drag it back over and drop it. It'll bring me back up all my first period classes that are available. Say the scout now really wants to take rifle merit badge first period, so I can move that over. And I've updated his schedule. I have to hit save. Always remember to hit save. I can go to checkout, and it'll show that he's dropping archery and he's adding rifle, and I can hit submit my order. That'll take care of it. Hit OK. Now, what happens if suddenly a scout that was registered decides not to go to camp? That's another easy one to take care of. If you go to event registration, select that scout or adult, it works the same way. Scroll down to the bottom of the registration, you'll see delete. If you click delete and save, again, it's going to bring up, you have to go through the cart, so pay the minimum. Okay, that's going to cancel his registration and all of his classes. So once I hit submit my order, it goes through, I hit OK. And again, it now shows me that I have 0 of my 7 registered. So in that way, if you've paid your $25 deposit, you can simply put in a new scout into your roster and register them. Because remember, it will only let you register, individually register for classes, the number of scouts that you have paid deposits for. So that brings us to the end of this registration demo video about how to register individuals and sign scouts up for classes and change their schedule if you would like. One other cool thing, actually I spoke too soon, that I will show you is once you have scouts registered, there's some cool reports that you can pull out. You can pull up a roster of all your registered participants for the event. You can pull up a class schedule, who's going to what classes when. There is a field that you can pull up requirements completed, and you can print blue cards from this. Those last three may not be available during summer 2016. We have to work with the camp staff about that. So that brings us to the end of our registration video. Hopefully this was helpful. If you need help, please contact either Ryan Stewart, the camp director, or the PA Dutch Council Service Center, Leslie, at 717-553-4595. Thanks, and hope you have a great time at camp.